Welcome into Phil's Tax Hacks and Other Retirement Facts with CPA and personal financial specialist, Phil Putney. Now let's get rolling with today's show. Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for hanging out with Phil and myself as we talk investing, finance, and retirement. And Phil, let's talk about the 5 must-dos in year one. There's a lot of stuff happening. There's a big gear shift when we go to retirement from working, right? Yep. And so it's easy to kind of like get a little overwhelmed here. So we'll break it down. We'll talk about a few pieces, some of the financial, some on the emotional, and just kind of break it down for folks. You've been helping families for years do this, so figured it was a good topic. How you doing this week?
Doing really good. Doing good. So, just got back from seeing the birth of the next 2 in line here. So we just had twin boys. So wow. So it takes us up to 8 now. So
amazing.
7 boys and a girl. So
your holiday shopping must be a lot of fun.
It's getting crazy.
A little fun, yeah. Crazy. Well, congratulations there.
Thank you.
And glad everybody's doing well. And kudos to mom for dealing with
twin. Good.
Yeah, twin boys on her hands. Kudos.
Yeah,
to
yeah. So. Well, and a two-year-old, almost a 2-year-old. So she is going to be busy.
Busy. Well, let's talk about being busy. Let's talk about how we get ready. Or we deal with that first year transition, because again, it's a big one. And financially speaking, we can start there, right? Because most people, if you're working with someone like yourself, a lot of that stress and worry has been taken off the table, especially if you started a couple years ahead of time because you've got a plan laid out. But if not, right, you're kind of thinking, how do I turn all this stuff I've saved into, my paychecks?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's a big transition that very first year because you've gone from having this normal monthly, biweekly, whatever it is, this paycheck come in.
Right.
So all of a sudden that's no longer there. You might have a pension, it depends on kind of your income streams and how those work, but you've got to figure out, well, what is that amount of money that I really need deposited in the bank each month? Because, unlike the paycheck, hopefully you had more coming in than what you were spending. So you probably were saving some of that.
Right.
So as you get into retirement, you really don't want to have more coming into your bank account from the retirement account than you need to, because that's taxable income. So yeah, it takes a little time to figure out what the cadence is. What do you need really to live on? And I mean, no stress. Every client kind of goes through this, and I always say, let's figure it out, get in the ballpark, start there, and then let's take it month by month, and we can always adjust it over time. So, yeah. But I mean, the first year too, you start into this retirement phase of now you're on permanent vacation. So a lot of times it's a lot of those bucket list type items that you've got to start checking off, or you want to, right, that you've been planning for. Right. So you have that base level plus all these other expenses. So hopefully that's been something you've built into the plan of, what those vacations are or whatever it happens to be that was on your bucket list.
Well, yeah, I was going to say people tend to either get ready to do a lot of stuff or they get nervous and they don't want to do a lot of stuff because they're worried about running out of money. So that kind of leads to point 2, which is having that sustainable income plan and understanding your withdrawal strategy.
Right. Yeah. And that's, a good point to bring up. And I deal with this a lot with clients too. And I mean, it's funny, in a married couple scenario, a lot of times we'll have one spouse that's, leaning towards one direction of, hey, everything's fine there. They know it's all okay. We've gone through the numbers, and maybe the other spouse is a little bit more nervous about it. Right.
Right.
So having that advisor kind of walk through and build out retirement income streams out to say, yeah, this is where we're going to get the money and everything works fine. We've projected in, these larger expenses of whatever your number is per year for vacation or whatever it is, whatever those, bucket list type items are.
Right.
And, that's really where an advisor can help, is to structure that and then to give that reassurance and looking at it on a regular basis to make sure, hey, everything's still going good. We're on track, no reason to worry. Right. Because it can feel a little bit odd in those first years, especially if you're starting to spend more, It's a hard transition. You've been saving all your life. You've been taught never to touch the retirement account, leave it there. Don't take the money out. Now you're there,
Yeah,
so
but
now you're taking that money out. So for some people, it gets to be a little bit of a uncomfortable scenario, which is okay. I'd rather have somebody not be uncomfortable, but be cautious, you want to say, with it, versus somebody that's like, woohoo, I've got $1 million saved and have that wealth effect of like, where are we going next?
Yeah, true.
As long as you built it in the plan and everything works, I'm fine with. But you just got to be it's a balance. It's a balance.
The term I heard was that I thought was fun was cautiously optimistic.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I know I talk with different advisors, and sometimes people just need to see the data in black and white sometimes.
Yes.
To at first feel a little better, but then it has to, like, over the first few months of retirement, okay, here's the checks. They're coming in regularly. We're able to pay our bills. Then it starts to go, aha, right? Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm feeling better now.
Get into it. In, some clients, it takes a year or two to kind of get into that rhythm of retirement and realize that, this all works, and kind of go through a couple of reviews and realize, okay, we've been taking distributions, and the accounts are doing what we anticipated. And, the challenge is, especially though, for those early years, if you do get in some volatility, then, sometimes, again, it takes some coaching from the advisor to help them walk through hey, we planned on this.
Yeah.
Like in our scenario, the money that we're taking distributions from, we've talked about the buckets before, that doesn't have as much volatility. So what's going on in a market shouldn't really affect the distributions that you're taking.
The Tax Smart Retiree is your comprehensive guide to mastering tax efficiency for a flourishing retirement. You will find indispensable advice and actionable strategies designed to enhance tax savings, maximize Social Security benefits, protect against market volatility, and develop a customized retirement plan. To get your free ebook, click the link in the show notes of today's episode and download your copy of the Tax Smart Retiree right now.
So those first couple pieces are obviously the big financial pieces. Now, look, there's a lot of other minutia in there. We've done tons of shows on the minutia, so I'm going to keep it somewhat broad level today a little bit with those first two. So let's talk about the third point here on my list, which is, pursue a purpose, right? So I think we talked about sometimes there's some people are more cautious and concerned about the money aspect when they get to retirement. And I do notice sometimes in looking at some data and some trends, those people maybe don't have a focus as much either in retirement. I think having purpose helps you with some of the other pieces, some of the financial pieces, because now your brain's occupied.
Right. I mean, you've got to have something to retire to, right? I mean, you've spent your whole career focused on that career, and watching the finances and kind of building towards retirement. But you don't want to get into retirement and have all the focus be on the finances, because then you're going to miss out on retirement. You're going to be too concerned and, spend all that time worrying about, do I have enough? Do I have enough? And then by the time you realize, I've got enough, you've probably got more than enough now, but now maybe your health or the time has escaped and you just aren't, comfortable and aren't able to do as much. So, so having that purpose though of what are you going to do in retirement? What is your goal, your vision? Is it family? Is it, travel? Do you get involved with charities and purposes, that special to you? What is it that you want to do on a regular basis? Because you've got time. So you've got to figure out what that retirement vision looks like to you. And again, it's not something that you have to know day one.
Right. That's a great point.
Some time and rhythm to get into the feeling of retirement and figure out what that purpose is. So
I mean, and I think having some ideas, and I think everyone walks into that with, now I've got the time to do this, and this. That's great, right? So, but just definitely having that purpose, because if it is just a few, like, I'm just going to chill and enjoy myself, at some point, I think all humans kind of go, all right, now what? I'm sitting a little too much or whatever. So
yeah. I mean, when you're working, right, Saturdays are great because it's like, I finally get to relax a little bit, or it's the day to catch up on all the chores and the things you need to get done. But now you're in retirement, and the old adage, every day is a Saturday. So I mean, it's that you have that repeated event every day. So getting the first month, 2, 3. Or more, 6 months in retirement, is probably just that. It's like, okay,
now my brother did that,
somewhere on a certain time, and don't have to look at my calendar every single moment to figure out what the next step is. And
my brother did that. He was like, "This is awesome." For like 3 months, he's like, "This is great." And then about fourth or fifth month, he's like, "All right, I'm bored. What do you need some stuff?
What's next? I need to do something."
Yeah, he's like, "You need some stuff done at the house. Let me come over and do some stuff." I'm like, "Okay." So all right. And then to that point, right? So having a purpose, number 4 is obviously we're doing a better job of that, in the modern era, is taking stock of our health.
Yes.
I'm dealing with some health stuff. Everybody's got a little something going on. So it's like, try to think about that as you're getting close, especially in year 1, too. You've got this time. We just talked about having that extra time. Maybe put that focus in on exercising and getting to feeling good so you can do all the go-go stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be able to do those things, but maybe your health isn't there yet. So take the time now to get into some kind of exercise routine. Very typical now is pickleball. It's a great game, great sport.
Crazy.
Gives you a little bit of activity. Yeah, it's awesome how it's taken off.
Yeah.
So I mean, hey, try pickleball if you haven't tried it, or whatever it is. I mean, tennis, if there's golf, I've got a lot of clients that love golf, so now they're golfing more. So do something.
Get out and walk, if nothing else. Movement is critical, because as we continue to age, if anyone who's watched their aging parents or whatever knows that at some point movement becomes tough, right? And so you really want that ability to just to get yourself up and out of the chair and do all those things on your own, right? That's a huge win as we get into our 70s and even our 80s. So I mean, much like saving, quote unquote, for retirement, I always say your older self is going to thank you later. Same thing here, right? I mean, early stages of retirement make that to be more of a habit. That exercise routine, get some physical activity in, because as you age, it's going to become more difficult. So you want to have that stamina built in. So yeah. I mean, I watched my mom use her walker in her 80s, and I think if I'm lucky enough to make it to my 80s, I want to try to be able to walk on my own.
Yes.
So the more you can move, the better off the chance. Not always, but hey, you got to put the work in. So, all right, the final piece of this, really, Phil, is just test drive the long-term plan across the board, right? The financial, the health, the doing things, all of it. How do we test drive that? And often I'll hear advisors say, oh, let's try this for a few months, or let's do this for whatever, 6 months or whatever the case is. Thinking about like even the snowbird aspect of Michigan, obviously, right? It's immediately, oh, it's so beautiful, I'm going to live there. It's like, well, then go stay a while, because you may hate certain times of the year there, as well. Like Florida's great, but come on, it's crowded.
Every place has its pros and cons, right? I mean, everyone wants to go to Florida in the winter months, but have you tried it in the summer? If you're really thinking of Florida,
when it's a million degrees and
there's all these things. And I always recommend that to clients, especially if they're considering a move, if they haven't been there before.
Yeah.
Try it out. Airbnb today, there's 100 different versions of that out there. Go try it out. Rent a house for a month, live there during the summer months if that's what you're planning on living there full time. And that also gives you an opportunity to be in that location and really get the experience of it. And maybe, versus trying to find a realtor and work with somebody remotely all the time, get more involved and really get to see the communities and better understand where you want to be. But that applies to many things, especially as you're focusing towards retirement. We talked about the health. You don't have to wait till retirement to start making that more of a habit. Spending. This is something that not often, but does come up, especially if you're thinking that as I get to retirement, well, I'm going to need X amount less. If it's a significant amount less than what you're currently spending, I always recommend try that on, right? Let's test drive it, so to speak, for a month or two. If you're currently bringing in $10,000 a month, but you're saying, oh, I'm only going to need $8,000 in retirement, that's a big change.
Then try it.
20% discount, so to speak, in your spending. So let's try that out and see. Can you do it? And it's not, can you do it? Is it comfortable? Is it something that you want to do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the habits, the routines, the choices that we make, just like at any time other in life, can go a long way to how much you enjoy your retirement. And of course, stress testing, the strategy, the plan, all of that stuff is important. And of course, you can, working with a financial professional will help you do that. And it's a little easier having someone help you build that strategy and plan out who's done it, hundreds or thousands of times versus, us doing it our very first time by ourselves. So if you need some help, reach out to Phil. Links in the show descriptions below. Get yourself onto the calendar for some time and chat about your retirement situation so you can get those things right in that first year of retirement. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. We always appreciate your time here on Phil's Tax Hacks and Other Retirement Facts. Again, don't forget to subscribe to us on Apple or Spotify, of course, YouTube. And again, check the show descriptions for how to get in touch with Phil. Phil, thanks for hanging out and congratulations again, my friend.
Thank you. Take care.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time here on Phil's Tax Hacks and Other Retirement Facts.
Phil? investment advisory services offered through AFS Wealth Management. The content of this program is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. Investments and/or investment strategies involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. There is no assurance that any investment strategy will achieve its objectives.